September the 12th. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Casabon? Here. Mr. Lauren? Here. Mr. Richardson? Here. Mr. Willie?
Here.
Mr. Richard? Here. Mr. Doherty?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Fitzmaurice?
Here.
Mr. Drum?
Ich bin hier, Fräulein.
Mr. Randolph?
Here.
Mr. Drum?
Here
Miss-
again.
Mr. Manella? Sorry.
Thank you. We have a quorum then, right?
Yes, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Public announcements, phones and pagers, please just put them on silent or turn them off. If you disagree with any of the decisions that this commission makes, over on my right, on the rail there, there's some appeal cards. You can fill one out and get it into staff, and your case will be appealed to the council. Speaker cards, if you wish to speak, please complete one. That way we have a record of you wanting to speak. It'll give us your address and everything, so if there's something on the case that comes up, we know how to get in touch with you. Each case, speak for 10 minutes on each side, and then a 5-minute rebuttal. After the case is heard, if you wish to stay in the building and hear the rest of the meeting, you're welcome to, but if you want to go out in the lobby to talk, please don't, because the sound echoes back into the chambers. The invocation will be by Mr. Randolph, and the Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Fitzmaurice. Please rise.
Gracious Father, once again, we say thank you for all the blessings you bestowed in our lives. You watched over, protected us all day long by giving us and showing us your grace and mercy. We thank you for our families. We thank you for this commission. Lord, we thank you for the decisions that we make that's going to be in the best interest of all. And Lord, we ask that you continue to bless and provide for those that are experiencing and have experienced the inclement weather conditions of Hurricane Harvey and Irma. Bless them and always give us a heart to share. And all these blessings we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first item on our agenda is approval of the August 8th minutes that were included in your packets. I hope you had an opportunity to review them. Are there any corrections or changes that need to be made? Mr. Randolph.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve by Mr. Randolph. Mr. Fitzmaurice.
I'll second with one correction. My name needs to be corrected to Fitzmaurice.
Noted.
All right. Mr. Lauren. All right. Please vote.
Mr. Lauren, are we going to vote? Motion carries.
Thank you. These are public hearings. First item, first group is entering parish right-of-way, servitudes and easements. Staff, I had see notes on here that the first three items are to be postponed. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me read them so we have them into the record. First item is entering the parish right-of-way, St. Landry Street and Low Davis Road, Ward 3, District 2. Request to enter the parish right-of-way for the purpose of laying fiber optic cable. The debtor is Southern Light LLC. Parish Council District Representative David Fitzgerald. This was postponed from the August 8th meeting. Question for staff. do we know if they're gonna continue to postpone these, or?
I'm not sure.
I can answer that. The reason why they're being postponed is that the debtors are working with the parish to enter into a franchise agreement, and they think the franchise agreement may be ready by next month, so they prefer to
Okay.
just have it tabled this month until that occurs.
Okay, thank you. All right, do I need a motion on that to postpone, right? Mr. Willie,
Move postpone, to next month.
moved by Mr. Willie to postpone till next month. Mr. Davis,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Davis. Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The next item is entering the parish right-of-way, River Highlands Boulevard and Echo Street, Ward 3, District 5. Request to enter parish right-of-way for the purpose of laying fiber optic cable. The debtor again is Southern Light LLC, Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable Riker Toledano. This was postponed from the October the 8th meeting, and I take it the same reason that they're working on an agreement. Do I have a motion to postpone? Motion by Ms. Casabon to postpone, second by Richardson. Draw a blank. All right, any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item is entering parish right-of-way, Harrison Avenue, Ward 3, District 5. Request to enter parish right-of-way for the purpose of laying fiber optic cable. The debtor is Hunt Communications LLC. Parish Council Representative is the Honorable Riker Toledano. Postponed from the August 8th meeting. Do I have a motion to postpone? Mr. Randolph. Mr. Drum.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to postpone. Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right. Next item is entering parish right-of-way, River Hill Court Extension, Ward 3, District 2. The requester to enter the parish right-of-way for the purpose of gaining access to the property. The debtor is Diane Wiegand. The council representative is Honorable David Fitzgerald. Staff?
Honorable Commissioners, Ms. Diane Wiegand has petitioned the Planning Commission to enter the parish right-of-way to gain access to her property. She is requesting that a waiver be granted for the construction of the roadway to asphalt standards. See attached email dated August 24th, 2017 from Ms. Wiegand. The resolution has been prepared in accordance with parish ordinance, which requires asphalt roadway. Performance obligation and the warranty obligation are the minimum required for either surface for this short distance of roadway. However, if the waiver is approved, the following will be added to the resolution. The petitioner must agree to participate in a front foot assessment in upgrading the road to a hard surface standard meeting parish requirements in the future. Therefore, should the Planning Commission grant the request, a resolution adopted by not less than a 2/3 affirmative vote of the Planning Commission membership will be required.
Thank you. Mrs. Wiegand, are you in the audience? Okay, please come to the microphone. Good evening. Please state your name and address for the record.
Wiegand, 19317 West Piney Point, Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Okay, thank you. You had a nice drive in, didn't you?
Yes, I did, thank you.
All right. You've reviewed and concur with all of the staff comments?
Yes, sir, I've been working pretty hard there with the permit office, with Jay Watson and Chris Tissue. And they've made me very aware of what I need to do once this is approved. And I'm
Okay.
kind of anxious to get going. We bought this property in March of this year and have yet to be able to do anything with it because we need to enter the parish right away.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else wish to speak in favor of entering the parish right away on this particular case? Anyone opposed? Ma'am, if you're opposed, come to the mic and state your name and address.
My name is Denise Blackburn. My address is 71506 Josephine Street. The parish road that they want to put in, it really is a flood issue. If it's really the way the property and the land is, it runs downhill. It's a natural runoff down there, and if there's a lot of building, it stops the water, the flow, then we're all going to back up on that road that goes into the parish road, and then we're going to flood. Because that is a natural runoff back there. When we had a couple of hurricanes come through, Francis and them, we were swimming. Well, we kind of like upgraded a little. It didn't help much, but we noticed more building that's back there, the more the water backs up, and then we're in trouble. We have a water issue. That's the only reason why I'm opposing. It's just there's got to be a solution to where the natural flow is able to flow.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, anyone else wish to speak in opposition? All right, we'll go to the rebuttal. And Ms. Wiegand, you have an opportunity to oppose or rebut.
The road that we would like to build is going to be about 20 feet long. And it's just enough to connect our survey corner marker, which is right on Josephine, 20 feet, to allow us access to our property. That's it. And it's a total of about 13.65 acres. We want to build a house in the back. I really don't see how this is going to impact drainage. If it was, trust me, the people at the permit office, as thorough as they are, they would have already uncovered this. Okay, because I have jumped through hundreds of hoops for them, and they are on target, and they are ahead of the game. So I personally, and Chris can attest to this, there's no drainage issues, and there won't be. I don't want a drainage issue. I'm going to live there. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, would you like to rebut anything from your statement? Please come forward and state your name and address.
Kenneth Blackburn. I live at 71506 Josephine Street. And back there where they gonna put, where you wanna put the road, it's a drainage, it's runoff. I have seen water, I have been in water up to here. Everything in that back, it floods. It just hadn't flooded in a while. They done had water at the back from that all the way up to Wheel Road, all the way up to Wheel Road. And everything down Wheel Road in that bottom up, I seen it underwater. People had to park up on the hill at 71506 Josephine Street because they couldn't get back in there. And the people in the back, Miss Pennington them, they couldn't even almost get back in there. The only way they could get back in there was a boat. I seen this with my eyes several times because I've been living there for a long time. And it floods. And that's where it drains.
Okay.
It drains there.
All right.
And that water I know that water get up to here. I'm tall and I have waded out in there.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in rebuttal? I'll close the floor to the public and bring it back to the commission. Mr. Davis.
Ms. Weenan? You own lots 20 and 21, correct?
They've been re-subdivided, it's 20-A now.
The lot directly west of you, who owns that?
I don't even know.
But obviously, one day, if they decide to do something, they're gonna have to have access to that property as well.
I would assume so.
Okay. So as far as this small amount of asphalt road, you're asking for a waiver of that?
I'm asking for a waiver from the asphalt. I want to put a gravel road.
And what is the reason for that? Because this is a parish road extenuation.
Right, it's only 20 feet.
But again,
Yeah,
you know, I don't mind having a waiver temporarily for gravel, but when you're building a house back there and you're ready to get in that house, it needs to be asphalt.
the driveway all the way up to the
No,
house?
not to your house, but that small section needs to be asphalt. Because if we allow that to still be gravel, and then the person who comes from the western side of you, he's gonna continue with that road all the way down as gravel. But that's a public road.
Well, actually,
So
it's,
I can understand why you don't wanna put gravel initially, because you're trying to build a house, and you're gonna have to get trucks in there, correct?
you're talking about asphalt initially.
Asphalt, I'm sorry, yeah. I can understand why you don't want to do the asphalt first.
Right.
What I'm saying is, when you take occupancy of the house that you decide to build on lots 20 and 21,
Okay.
that small section has to be asphalted.
No problem,
That's my suggestion.
yeah. And I would like to clarify, we are not trying to get a permit, or trying to get a building permit. We're not trying to get that, because I think these citizens are concerned about all this building. We're just trying to get a permit for a 20-foot road. And if the drainage is bad, I don't see how that road is going to affect it. It's just gonna be there. It's gonna get wet just like everything else. But 20 feet of road, that's all we're asking for, just so I can get on my property.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Willie. Hmm?
There you go.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, the question of staff. If the commission grants the waiver and everything, would you have to build a gravel section to parish standards?
Yes, sir.
As far as the culverts and everything to allow for that tremendous amount of water that's supposed to be coming through there?
If that's required to meet their
Okay,
standards.
all right, thank you.
Mr. Davis.
Sorry.
Mr. Drum.
Mr. Blackburn, may I have you up here, please? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you were talking about flooding it with the water.
Yes, sir.
Okay, was that, were you, against the road being built, or are you against any kind of structures being built on the property?
The road, if she gonna do a 20-foot road, or however, I don't have any problem with the road. It's just, if you're gonna do a lot of building, we just don't wanna flood everybody in the neighborhood, 'cause that water, like I was saying, that water backs all the way up to Wheel Road. But if she wanna put a road in there, I don't have no problem with her putting a road.
Because, you know, what we're doing right now is just looking at the permission to build the road.
Yes, sir.
And she would have to come back to us to build a house. And then at that time, you can come back then and bring up your disagreements.
Yeah, just as long as everybody in that area don't get flooded out,
Okay.
you know. 'Cause if it do drain it's a runoff there. I wouldn't believe it myself if I hadn't been there.
Okay,
A lot of people don't think it's flooding, it hit floods.
okay.
It really do,
Okay, well, thank you.
yeah. It floods.
Staff,
Thank,
if the lady is given permission to build a non-asphalt road, at what point would she have to come back to have the asphalt road built?
sure that'd be, Jay's more on the transportation side of this, so.
Okay, come see, come saw, okay. Thank you, I'm done.
Mr. Davis,
I'd like to make a
you should be on.
I'd like to make a motion to approve with a temporary waiver that she can go ahead and build the gravel road leading off of Riverdale Court. But before she takes occupancy of the house, whenever she does build it, she has to go ahead and asphalt that road.
We had a
Are you in
second.
agreement with that?
Yes,
All right.
Yeah,
Just a point to clarify. What happens if she sells the property to another individual? Should that resolution also include the fact that any subsequent owners of property are also subject to that responsibility?
I'll add that as well.
Thank you.
Just to make it transferable to whoever buys that property from you if you decide to go that route.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Davis and a second by Ms. Casabon. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries 9-1.
Thank you. The next item is entering parish right-of-way, Roger Drive, Ward 8, District 9. Request to enter the parish right-of-way for the purpose of gaining access to the property. The debtor is Denny Crawford. The parish council district representative is the Honorable Gene Belisario. Staff?
Honorable Commissioners, Mr. Dinty Crawford has petitioned the Planning Commission to enter the parish right-of-way to gain access to his property. He is requesting that a waiver be granted for the construction of the roadway to asphalt standards. See attached letter dated July 24th, 2017 from Mr. Crawford. Councilman Belisario does not support this request for a waiver of the asphalt roadway standard. See attached email dated September 2nd, 2017. The resolution has been prepared in accordance with parish ordinance, which requires asphalt roadway. However, should the Planning Commission approve the waiver, the resolution will be revised as follows. Performance obligation, $4,100. Warranty obligation, $4,100. The petitioner must agree to meet parish requirements for the construction of the roadway to hard surface standards prior to the parish approving any improvements to this property. This includes the issuance of a land clearing permit. Therefore, should the Planning Commission grant the request, a resolution adopted by not less than a 2/3 majority affirmative vote of the Planning Commission membership will be required.
Thank you. Is Mr. Crawford in the audience? Yes, sir. Please come forward and state your name and address.
Denty Crawford at 110 Troy Drive. Look, I have, first I filed for revocation so I could buy that little strip of land for a dirt road. Then I filed for, one of the councilmen told me I could file for a waiver to get a gravel road. But we're going with a blacktop road. I've already talked to Mr. Magner about this. There's no more waiver. We agreed on blacktop. I've already got with the engineers on it.
All right, you have anything else?
No, we just need to get into my 80 acres back there. There's a 60-foot right-of-way that John Dunbar left when he developed the subdivision Hickory Hills. It's 60 foot by 200 foot long.
Okay.
And I got with the parish, and they kept telling me I needed to put blacktop. And then when I talked to the blacktop company, they told me it's better to go gravel because the blacktop would crumble because they wouldn't have enough traffic on it. So I said, okay, we'll go blacktop. I got with Mr. Magner and them and just, hey, I don't care what we do. I just need a road. I've been working on this for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm spinning my wheels here.
All right. Thank you. Let's see if there's any opposition, then we'll have some discussion. Anyone else in favor of this? All right, we'll go to opposed. Anyone opposed that has come forward and state your name and address.
I'm Mark Holyfield. I live at 122 Troy Drive, Slidell, Louisiana. And my property aboards right beside where he's talking about going through. I mean, it's right up against it. And we all oppose of this. We don't need that right of way in there. One reason, because that is swampland back there in that 80 acres he's talking about. He's been back there for 45 years now, and he ain't needed a right-of-way, and now he wants a right-of-way in there. I think it needs to be re-looked at because it's wetlands. It needs to be restudied because, you know, we all lived there all these years, and I know the land real well, and I strongly oppose to this right-of-way going in there. And I think all my neighbors, they stand with me on that. But at the end of the day, if he's got to have that road, I hope the parish would stand behind that and make him do it up to parish standards with the ditches on both sides for drainage. And like I said, I think it's a wetland issue back there. And a lot of the land he's talking about, 80 acres, probably 30, maybe 30 of it is land, and the rest of it stays underwater the rest of the year. More than that, it's just always underwater because it's wetlands. So we strongly against this.
All right, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Yes, ma'am, come forward and state your name and address.
My name is Gidget Holyfield. I live at 122 Troy Drive, and I'm the owner of the property at 122, along with my husband that just spoke. My concern is if he gets the right-of-way, I just want to make sure that it's up to parish standards. I want to make sure that it is paved, not graveled. I feel that if you gravel it, it's going to make the value of my property go down, and I just want to make sure that, you know, it's properly done with ditches and a paved road, and not just throwing some gravel up on there, because I mean I've obtained usage of that right away for the last 19 years.
All right, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Yes, sir. Come forward and state your name and address.
Yes, my name is Terrell Evans. I live at 105 Troy Drive. I'm opposed to this also due to the fact it's more than 60% of the land back there is underwater. It's more like 70% stays underwater constantly. The remainder of the land is wetlands. Like I said, we're very familiar with that land. That land probably goes under 3 times a year through river stage coming up. You guys all know about West Pearl when it gets out of the banks. That land goes under. I've been in Mark's yard with a tractor with a John Deere 870, and that land right there goes up to midways on that tire when it floods. So we're talking about land that goes under constantly. We're in the process of purchasing land adjacent to that as wetlands also through Edward Portavant, which this land was purchased also. And we're purchasing that land with the understanding we're buying wetlands, okay? And that's what Mr. Crawford bought, wetlands. So I'm opposed to this right-of-way going in, and you guys need to take a good, strong look at it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Yes, sir. Come forward and state your name and address.
How you doing? My name is Thomas Gowan. I live at 200 Roger Drive. My son lives across the street at 203 Roger Drive. He owns the property, 2 acres, and he's planning on building a home at the corner where Danny wants to put the property. access. This is the deal. If he develops that street, it's gonna be a developed property. They're gonna have trucks going in and out. We need a truck route dedicated, and we need Denny to be responsible for that street maintenance, asphalt, whatever it takes. Also, we have wildlife that crosses the river onto that property. I'm talking about game reserve animals. He wants to clear it, don't know how much. But obviously, there's a little bit more here than what is being presented. So take a good look at it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? We'll go to rebuttal. Mr. Crawford, you're up first.
Look, if y'all,
Wait a minute, wait till you get to the mic.
do y'all have the maps of that, the satellite map? Can you see, you're looking at it? Can you see the dark woods? That's pine trees. And they saying it's all floodland. That land back there in the back is higher than where the oil fields are. They flood. But half of this land, if you look at it, you can see a swampland out there. I'm not saying it's all swampland. I need a driveway so I can get in there to be on my land. And then they keep saying about if anybody wants to come out and go look at this, I'll be more than happy to take you. Because it's just like we putting a blacktop road in. Engineers have already, they're working on it. And you know it's got to have the ditches and everything, the parish standards. It's a parish right-of-way. Well, it wasn't it, and then the parish adopted everything, all the right-of-way and easements, they took it. So, but anyway, I need a road in there. It's a parish right-of-way. I'm willing to work with the parish to put the blacktop road extension on Roger Drive. I expect people to complain. That's like Oldfield told me he wanted to keep it for himself. He didn't want nobody back there. Well, that's great. If you own it, it'd be great, but you don't. Now, half that land, look at the map. Look at the map. It'll show you from the satellite. It'll show you dark green. Look at that. You know, there's quite several acres up in there. Of course, I own Scarborough's Lake. That's all wetland. Hell, that's water. But anyway, whatever y'all decide, let's go with this. I need a road. You know, they can oppose all they want. You know, anytime you do a subdivision, once people start living there, they don't want you to develop the rest of it. And the only thing I'm going to put in there is a farm anyway. But it just, like I say, I already been with Mr. Magner now. We already went over everything. Any questions?
Not at this time. Thank you. Those that are in opposition, you have a chance to rebut what Mr. Crawford just said, if you wish. Yes, sir.
Yes, Tom Scowen again. I'd like for Denny to have access to his property, but I really think that there should be some strong limitations as to what's done with that property. I just don't see how a compromise can be done unless it's just a one home put back there without any subdividing in the future, without anything like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in rebuttal?
Yes, sir. We just have some concerns about the amount of trees that are being cut back there presently by Mr. Crawford. It is my understanding that you need a permit to cut trees on your land. Is that correct? You need a clearing permit? Well, there's trees being cut back there at the presently that he's clearing out right now, and that includes cypress trees. So if I was to cut a cypress tree off my property, I find that to be an issue. Looking into past history with Louisiana, I thought it was against the law to cut a cypress tree.
So with things that are going on right now, I'm just wondering what's gonna go on in the future. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in rebuttal?
Yeah, Mark Holyfield again. When he purchased that land from Portavin, like Terrell was saying, that land was surveyed from the riverside. If y'all know where the riverside is to this property, it's like looking at from the riverside in. And all that land was purchased as swamp land. I mean, I'll just go out there and look at it. Like I said, I'll bring you out there and go out there and look at it. And when he had it surveyed, even if it was surveyed from a satellite or whatever, but you can go to the other side of this property and look in, and you can just see how we live like on a ridge right there. And that water from the river, when it gets high, and we at flood stage in that river, actually my lot right there is like a spillway, and that water pours over that. And when the current's coming in the river, it actually is like when it breaks over there, that's it. It's kind of like Grand Isle with the rocks. That's the only thing we got left protecting that right there. You know, and like I said, he's been back in that swamp all these years, 40 years back there. He never needed a right-of-way before. So I don't think, to me, it's not like that is part of our neighborhood. That's a swamp out there. So I think it should remain the swamp out there. Why does he need a right-of-way from our neighborhood that's going to cause all this traffic to go through our neighborhood, right across this street, right into them woods back there? I just don't see the use of the parish giving him that right-of-way. But thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in rebuttal? Against? Yes, ma'am.
My only question is I've heard multiple things. I've heard that Denny Crawford was going to build a boys' home. I've heard that Denny Crawford's going to take the 80 acres and split them up and sell them up by lots. And now I'm hearing that it's going to be a farm. So my issue is I don't know what exactly his intentions are for the future. The easement is on one side of my property. His land is on the back side of my property. So that was my concerns of what he is going to develop back there, if y'all give him the easement to that land. Has it been stated what he's exactly going to do and what the farm is going to consist of? And is it going to remain a farm, or is he going to sell it off in lots of the 80 acres?
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? We've still got a few seconds in rebuttal. Against?
My name is Dustin Holyfield. Live at 122 Troy Drive. We all own camps on the river, and they have a natural waterway that flows to this land. We all have camps. We've never had a right-of-way to all of our land, so I don't see why he should need a right-of-way to this land. Everything's been built by hand and by boat on the river from us, so I think he should be able to do that himself through the natural waterway.
Okay. Thank you. All right, that's the time on the rebuttal. I'm going to close the floor to the public and bring it back to the commission. Ms. Casabon.
Yes. Okay, thank you. This particular piece of property, is it within this subdivision, the hillside? Is this a piece of property that is part of
The
the
roadway,
subdivision?
the roadway ties in at the end of the subdivision and ties into the swampland to the east.
So it is part of it, or it's just?
Yes, it's a right-of-way that was granted at the time they did the subdivision
Okay.
for the purposes of maybe in the future developing the 80 acres.
The other part of
Yes,
it,
ma'am.
okay. All right, people, this is, looking at not the usage, not land usage. We are here to look at, granting someone, is there any other staff, is there any other access to this property other than the waterway, apparently?
Not that I'm currently aware of.
So technically, it would be land, what we consider landlocked, and this is the only way that he could access his property, one way or the other.
That's not a navigable waterway.
That this is landlocked, so
Well,
in
in the
or how
technical-
else would he get to this property?
In the technical sense, it would be landlocked if he needed to get trucks or things of that nature to
Correct.
get into his property to develop it, but he can't access his property by boat.
But that's what I'm saying, if he wants to develop this or build a house, or can't, whatever,
Right.
it would be, if the river wasn't there, in any other situation, we'd look at it and to grant him access to this property. But what I'm trying to say is, the usage of this property is not what we're looking at right now. We are looking at allowing him to enter his property. I don't know whether it's developable or whatever, you know, the issues that you have with it, I understand that, but also, it's a matter of granting him permission to do this. Since he is not looking for this waiver, which we probably wouldn't have granted anyway, that it has to be asphalted to parish standards, I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Ms. Casabon to approve, seconded by Mr. Willie. Mr. Davis. Request to speak.
You're on, Mr. Davis.
Okay.
Am I on? Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Crawford? The 80 acres that you own, what's your intentions?
I wanted to build a farm. I used to have a petting zoo on the river. And with the flooding and the idiots out there putting their dogs on our animals, we had to quit all that. So it's got a lot of dry land here. Half of it's dry. And where Evans says I'm cutting cypress trees, I ain't even been on the land. I'm not even out there. I'm in the water cutting the undergrowth. And I will take people, I got pictures on my phone. I wish you would have time to look at them, what we're doing.
No, I understand.
But it's not a navigable waterway. He says it's a navigable waterway. It's not. If they would call the state land department, they would find out that I own that water and water bottom. But I work with broken family kids. I've been doing it for like 40-something years. And we had a forum with the donkeys, goats, chickens, pigs, everything. And it was great. Even their families would come out there. And now it's like everything I touch, and you can go look at all my properties, everything I touch, I make it beautiful, and they know this. Even right there in the subdivision next to them. When I did that land, they said, oh, you destroyed it. Then they got a petition up a few years ago to stop me from putting anything on it because it looked like a park. It was so beautiful. You could do the same thing. It takes some effort, it takes work. But it's like, I don't get, it's not on the river. If you look at the map, the satellite map, you can see the river is way out there. I got camps out there too.
Yeah, I understand. I have one question for staff on this matter too. I mean, everybody deserves to have access to their property, that's a fact. What is the underlying zoning of those 80 acres?
I'm not sure. I think it's A2, but I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to check the zoning map.
A2, and there's no overlays on this property?
To my knowledge, no.
Okay, so you understand you just can't build a farm?
Do what? I can't have animals out there?
Well, he can do a farm on A2, but I'm not even sure if there are limitations on animals.
Our ordinance does not allow domesticated animals. He has a rural overlay, he would be allowed to do any agricultural uses, but as far as household animals, we don't have an ordinance against that.
You would have to
Like,
come
you
back.
could have a pet, you can't have it for commercial purposes.
Well, no, I've
what-
never charged anything. I do swamp tours. They don't cost you anything. I take you to my place. The kids fish. We feed you. We got Cokes, candy for the kids. Everything is free.
And just to say, I mean, again, this is just to allow you to have access to your property.
Yeah, I just
Whether
need
you
a-
build something out there and have animals is a whole different question. You'll have to come to the zoning board, which is us too,
Well,
and
we'll come
request
back,
a
I'll come
zoning
back.
change.
Y'all get used to looking at me, 'cause I'll be back.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, I just want to make sure
But I
everybody
just need this
understands where we're coming
blacktop
from.
road in there, 'cause I can't do anything in it. I'm not cutting, I ain't even been on the land since I bought it.
And I agree, I mean, whether you're cutting or not, I mean, somebody
Yeah.
that would inform code enforcement on that, and that's
Oh,
fine, but it's okay. What I'm saying is, you just can't, once we grant you access to your property, you just can't build anything.
Right, I
It
understand
depends
that.
on the underlying zoning. And currently, with your underlying zoning, you can't put animals on it.
Well,
so you'll have to come back to the zoning
Yeah,
committee
'cause
and
I'm
ask for a
not in
change.
the subdivision. I'm not in it.
No, I know, but you'll have to come back to
Right.
have some sort of rural overlay or put
Right.
on that property.
We'll take care of it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Lauren.
Thank you. We have a motion on the table, and I call for question.
Okay. I've got some questions, a couple of questions that I'd like to
Everybody's aware of what's going on.
get an answer to, but I think, just looking at my list here, the main one is a core permit, and if it passes, then it will be required to have the core permit, okay? So we have a motion and a second to approve. Please vote. This will require 8 votes to pass.
No, question. He
Yes.
is not asking for the waiver.
Pardon?
He is not asking for the waiver.
The staff comments have waivers in it.
I don't believe that's what the gentleman was saying. Is that correct? Did he change his, excuse me, Mr. Crowe?
Let me ask Ms. Casabon, your motion to approve includes the waivers that the staff,
No, we started off for a waiver.
I got you. You have to have your request to speak, and then Mr. Doherty
Well, it's
has to-
on voting right now. I'm sorry.
should be on.
You have to give floor to next in line.
Okay, thank you. My motion was to approve the right-of-way. We're for the asphalt that he spoke of. It is not for the waiver or any of that. And your concern about the Corps of Engineers, I was going by, if you read the resolution that they have, is number 14, that the petitioner shall produce the U.S. Corps of Engineers statement, Clean Water Act, and so on. So everything that's in this petition
Pages
from
1,
the
2, and
parish
3.
is on that.
Pages 1, 2, and 3 of the staff.
Correct. Of
And that-
the resolution itself, the draft, states that what he has to do. And it's part of the resolution. So I made a motion to approve the right-of-way.
That
to his
includes
property.
the pages 1, 2, and 3 that's in the staff report.
I don't see numbers, but it's the
Well,
actual
up-
resolution
Up the
here.
top right, Mark.
Okay, I see them now, yes.
Okay. All right, so we got a motion to approve, including the waivers on pages 1, 2, and 3. Okay. All right, Mr. Davis, does that answer your question?
There are no waivers, period.
There's no waivers. It is the resolution. The waivers was something else asked for, and I made a motion that what is the resolution authorizing him to do this, that was written by the parish, that the commission will vote on. And it has all those statements in it on what he has to do with the property in order to do
Okay.
anything with it.
Okay, and that includes the asphalt?
Yes,
Okay.
including the
All right.
asphalt.
Good, all right, thank you. All right, are we ready to vote? Please vote.
Motion carries 10-1.
Thank you. All right. All right. Page 2 of the agenda. Minor subdivisions, we have none. Petition requests. Request to build on a buildable substandard lot of record located in roadside campsite subdivision, Lot 12, Ward 9, District 13. Petitioner is Roy Windhorst, and the representative is Honorable Michelle Blanchard. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The conditions for approval pursuant to section 40-034.01 of contiguous lot rule of subdivision ordinance 499, the planning commission is responsible for reviewing requests for building on a buildable substandard lot of record. The petitioner is requesting to build on a substandard lot of record in order to construct a single-family residence. In order for the planning commission to approve a request for a building permit on a buildable substandard lot of record, the petitioner must provide proof that they do not currently own and have not sold, nor have any predecessor in deed or title sold any contiguous lots during the period following the initial adoption of the contiguous lot rule ordinance, which was adopted on January 20th, 1994. Upon review, the petitioner has satisfied the requisite requirements of proof as referenced to above, and since the petitioner will comply with the parish's building setback requirements relative to a buildable substandard lot of record, the staff has no objection to the proposed request.
Thank you. Mr. Windhorst, come to the mic, state your name and address, please.
Rory Winhorst, 4517 Myrtle Street, Marrero, Louisiana.
All right, then you're just wanting to build a camp?
Yes,
Is that basically?
Basically, yeah. Within the, requirements of the parish, 5 foot off the property lines and stuff like that.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in support? Yes, ma'am. Come forward. State your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Jean Windhorst, and I am the wife of Rory, and we live at 4517 Myrtle Street in Marrero, Louisiana. And I am a school teacher at Salmon High School, and I have been there since 2002 and watched that area grow. I watched it be destroyed by Katrina, and my husband and I love the water. We love going out there, and I am a cross-country coach, so many nights I drive by there going home and just love watching the sun go down, and we would love to build a nice little camp out there, of course, by y'all's guidelines. So.
All right, thank you. Anyone wish to speak in opposition? I'll close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Mr. Davis.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Davis to approve.
I'll
Second
second it.
by Ms. Casbon. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve. Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Entering the Tammany Trace, we have none. Revocation closing review, we have none. Re-subdivision review, we have none. Dormant subdivision review, we have none. Tenant subdivision review, we have none. Preliminary subdivision review, we got some of those. All right, first item is zoning case, zoning planning 2017-772-PP. Maison du Lac, Phase 3, Ward 1, District 1. Developer, owner, WBB Realty LLC. The engineer is Richard C. Lambert Consultants. Parish Council District Representative, Honorable Marty Dean. Staff?
The preliminary plans and hydrologic study have been reviewed by this office, and an inspection of the site was made. It is recommended that the preliminary submittal be approved, subject to the following comments. On the preliminary plat, the additional lots for Maison du Lac Phase 3 were not accounted for in the original TIA. Provide a new and updated TIA that accounts for the additional lots to Maison du Lac. On the sewer and water plan, revise the water and sewer note number 13 to include that the water line will be laid higher in elevation than the sewer line. Plans and specifications for the construction of the project's water distribution lines and sewer collection lines have not yet been approved by Louisiana Department of Health. No maintenance obligation is required since this is an extension of a private subdivision. Mandatory developmental fees will be required at final submittal in accordance with ordinance number 04-0990, since no public hearing was held prior to January 1st, 2005. Revised drawings will not be accepted prior to the September 12th, 2017 Planning Commission meeting to ensure that any additional comments established at the meeting can be incorporated into the revised plan.
Thank you. Mr. Morone.
Thank you, Mr. Doherty. Paul Morone on behalf of WBB Realty LLC. With regards to the staff comments, our engineer has prepared some documents in response to item 1 in the TIA, evidencing that these lots will not have a negative impact on the findings of the TIA, in pertinent part because the original project as approved had about 420 total units. As you may recall, that plan has been modified. We are down, even with these lots that you see before you this evening, to 355 units. So there's been a significant reduction in overall density. So the TIA can only get better, if you will. But we will comply with item number 1. Also, we will comply with the revision to the sewer and water plans as noted. And we would respectfully request your approval of preliminary for Phase 3 of Maison du Lac pursuant to the staff comments. Be happy to answer any questions any of the commissioners may have.
Thank you, Mr. Morone. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor on this item? Anyone wish to oppose and speak? Yes, sir. Come forward and state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Sean Ryan. I live at 308 Rue Petite, which is in the Maison du Lac subdivision, directly across the street from where this addition is going to be made. The only objection I have, and it's really a request that they consider this, is that we're building a new phase. It's going to have 50 lots or 50 houses in there, and the direct access is going to be down Rue Petite, which is about 100 yards long and has 8 houses on it. There is room for them to cut a street in from Maison du Lac directly into this Phase 3 and not run all that traffic up and down Rue Petite. That's the only thing I would ask that the council consider and that the developer consider.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back. Let's see, Mr. Morone, I need to give you a minute to
Thank
rebut.
you. Yes, sir, Mr. Doherty. In regards to Mr. Ryan's comment, obviously the street layout that you have before you was the PUD layout that was approved and so forth. This issue, as far as access goes, has not come up to my knowledge. But as you know, Mr. Wayner and the Wayner family are the developers. I will be happy to take Mr. Ryan's comment back to them to advise them of his concern, and I'm sure that they will consider that, and if there are alternatives, whether it be permanent access or construction access, that they might be able to facilitate another way, I'm sure that they will consider that and then be in contact directly with Mr. Ryan regarding that request.
Thank you, Mr. Morone. All right, you don't wish to speak again?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Mr. Lowen.
Thank you. Paul, I appreciate you taking that back to Bruce. I think, if it'll help, it would be greatly appreciated. Maison de Lac is one of the finest subdivisions in St. Tammany Parish as far as I'm concerned. It meets a need and it's beautiful. And for that reason, I would very happily make a motion to approve.
Thank you. We have a motion by Mr. Lauren to approve. Do I have a second? Ms. Casabon.
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Casabon. Any further discussion? Please vote. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Davis, I'm sorry. You snuck in on me.
Paul? I appreciate that gesture about asking Mr. Weiner about the access at another location. You might want to consider Rue Royale, the northern part of that. That way it's not so close to the Rue Petite. That's all.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 2017773-PP, Beatico Creek, parcel 13, resubmitted, Ward 1, District 1, the developer owners, Beatico Creek Preserve LLC, Parish Council District Representative, Honorable Marty Dean. The engineer is Kelly McHugh and Associates. Staff?
Honorable Commissioners, the preliminary plans and hydrologic study have been reviewed by this office, and an inspection of the site was made. It is recommended that the preliminary submittal be approved, subject to the following comments.
Chris, can you speak into the microphone, please?
Okay.
Bring it up a little bit or something.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. On the preliminary plat, number 1, lot number 841 and lot number 819 must meet the restrictive covenant number 10 or request a waiver of this restrictive covenant. Number 2, a waiver of the 700-foot maximum cul-de-sac length will be required for Bald Eagle Circle. On the paving and drainage plan, number 3, the Beatico Creek Master Drainage Plan is currently under review by the Department of Planning and Development. No maintenance obligation is required since this is an extension of a private subdivision. No mandatory developmental fee is required at final submittal in accordance with ordinance number 04-0990, since a public hearing was held prior to January 1st, 2005. Revised drawings will not be accepted prior to the September 12th, 2017 Planning Commission meeting to ensure that any additional comments established at the meeting can be incorporated into the revised plans.
Thank you. Mr. Morone.
Thank you, Mr. Daugherty. Paul Morone again, at this time on behalf of Beatico Creek Preserve LLC. Parcel 13, this is a resubmittal. It had been previously approved, but that approval had lapsed. With regards to the few comments that Mr. Tissue just mentioned, the first is the issue that we've been dealing with repeatedly, and you're going to deal with again several times tonight, and that is the location of the driveway in relation to the corner. We thought we were resolving the issue because we left a green space strip between the corner and the lot, believing that that would set off and we wouldn't have this issue. Apparently that doesn't cure the issue. It still plagues those lots, so we would respectfully request a waiver of those 2 lots and the 60-foot driveway rule. With regards to item 2 and the cul-de-sac length, we would request a waiver there for a number of reasons. First, if you look at the plan, you will see that the geographical features, the fact that we're between lakes, and there's really no other way to access and utilize this parcel. So we believe that it would be appropriate here. In addition, we are just beyond the 700-foot length. I think we're a little bit less than 80 feet long. So it's not a significant, it's not significantly in excess of the requirement. So we would ask for your approval of that waiver as well. Other than that, if there are any questions regarding the plan or the layout, I'll be happy to answer them, but we would respectfully request your approval or reapproval of parcel 13 for Beatico Creek.
Thank you, Mr. Morone. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor? Anyone in the audience wish to speak in opposition? I'll close the floor to the public and bring it back to the commission. Anyone wish to speak?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Lawrence, you making a motion to approve?
Yes, I make a motion to approve with the waivers.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Randolph. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item is 2017-774-PP. Arnold, Ward 1, District 1, developer owner, Wing 21 LLC. The engineer is Kelly McEwen Associates. Parish Council District Representative Honorable Marty Dean. I see a note here that the developer is requesting postponement until the next meeting. Staff?
The developer has requested postponement to the October 10th, 2017 meeting.
October?
October 10th, 2017.
Okay. Mr. Fistmars.
I'll move to postpone for 1 month.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Randolph. Second by Mr. Randolph. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Final subdivision review. Item 2017-775-FP, Ashton Park, second filing, Ward 8, District 8. Developer owner, First Horizon Incorporated, engineers Benchmark Group LLC, Parish Council District Representative, Honorable Chris Canulet. Staff?
Periodic inspections have been made by this office during construction, and the final inspection was made on August 28th, 2017. The inspection disclosed that all of the concrete roads are constructed and the subsurface drainage is functioning. The following uncompleted items existed at the time of the final inspection and will be completed before the plats are signed. On the final plat, the street name signs and traffic control signs were not installed at the time of the inspection. The signage must be installed in accordance with the approved signage plan, and an as-built signage plan must be submitted to St. Tammany Parish for review and approval. Number 2, remove the existing temporary construction entrance along Haas Road and restore Haas Road to its previous existing conditions. On the as-built drainage plan, number 3, multiple elevations along the top of bank of the detention pond are shown on the as-built drainage plan below the 100-year stormwater surface elevation, providing the approved hydrologic study, and are also below the emergency weir crest elevation. This item must be addressed. Should the Planning Commission approve the request for final approval, a warranty obligation will be required for the infrastructure in the amount of 2,950 linear feet at $25 per linear foot, which totals $73,800 for a period of 2 years. The staff recommends approval of the proposed final subdivision request, subject to the developer complying with all comments, and no plats be signed until all items are satisfactorily completed. Mandatory developmental fees are required as follows. Road impact fee, $1,077 per lot times 52 lots, totals $56,004. Drainage impact fee, $1,114 per lot at 52 lots, totals $57,928. Fees are due before subdivision plats can be signed. This subdivision is within the urban growth boundary line. Revised drawings will not be accepted prior to September 12, 2017 Planning Commission meeting to ensure that any additional comments and steps of the meeting can be incorporated into the revised plans.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Please state your name and address.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Murray McCullough, 11328 Pennywood Avenue in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 70809, with Benchmark Group representing the developer First Horizon. We reviewed the comments made by staff and accept those, in fact, are actually working on eliminating those comments as we speak. So we would respectfully request that you approve. I'm gonna get it out sooner or later. Request you approve this contingent on the staff comments. Thank you, sir, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of this item? Anyone opposed? I'll close the floor to the public and bring it back to the commission. Ms. Casabon.
There you go.
I'll make a motion to approve subject to staff comments and that no plats be signed until staff is satisfied.
All right, Mr. Randolph. We have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Proposed amendments to ordinance 499, we have none. Old business. Item 2017-680-PP, Whispering Forest, Ward 1, District 3. The developer owner is Bob Hessen. The engineer is Aero Engineering and Consultants. Parish Council District Representatives, Honorable James Red Thompson. This was postponed indefinitely at the August 8th meeting, and the developer is now requesting to be placed back on the agenda for the October 10th meeting. Is Darrell, do you wish to speak?
Hey, I'm Darrell with Aero Engineering Consulting, and we postponed it. This is a resubmittal of an approved subdivision. It was approved, and then the 1 year lapsed, and so we resubmitted. And even though it was approved a year previously, there were a boatload of comments, and so we didn't have time to get them all done the first month. And then the second month, Mr. Hessen decided to move his entrance to his property, which is directly behind the subdivision, because he'll maintain ownership of the land behind the subdivision. And so we had a meeting with staff, and by the time we had the meeting, the deadline lapsed, so we postponed it again. And so now we've got all that straight, and we're asking to be put back on the agenda for next month.
Okay, thank you. Any staff, do you have any comments?
No, sir, other than the fact that pursuant to the Planning Commission policy, that is required. He has to be put back under old business to make that formal request.
Okay, thank you. I think we have the formal request. Any further discussion? Mr. Lauren.
I make a motion to put this item back on the October agenda.
Motion by Mr. Lauren to put back on the October agenda. Ms. Casabon?
I'll second it.
Second by Ms. Casabon. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries.
All right, entering parish right-of-way. 8th Street, Ward 3, District 2. Request to enter parish right-of-way for the purpose of gaining access to the property. The debtor's DMM Construction. Parish Council District Representative, Honorable David Fitzgerald. Request by debitor to extend time for 6 months for documentation. Staff?
Honorable Commissioners, the above referenced resolution was adopted on February 10, 2016. The resolution states that the petitioner must submit all documentation within 6 months from the date of adoption. The petitioner has not furnished all documentation required within the 6 month period and is requesting a second extension of time. See attached email dated August 29th, 2017. Since the time has expired for the petitioner to furnish all documentation, the following action is required by the Planning Commission to allow the petitioner to proceed with the project. The Department of Development Engineering has no objection to the extension. The action required, extend adoption date to September 12th, 2017, thereby extending the 6-month submittal of documentation to March 12th, 2018, and the completion date to September 12th, 2019.
Thank you. Mr. Morone.
Thank you, Mr. Daugherty. Paul Marone on behalf of Mr. Martin and DMM Construction. There have been some issues with regards to the extension of the utilities to get to these lots, which is part of the construction of that right-of-way. My client's been in contact with Tammany Utilities about that. We are hopeful that we are close to finding a resolution, so we would respectfully request the extension that Mr. Tissue just mentioned.
Thank you. All right, anyone in the audience opposed to this extension? I'll close it to the public, bring it back to the commissioners. Mr. Davis.
Motion to approve the extension.
Motion by Mr. Davis to approve. Mr. Randolph. Seconded by Mr. Randolph. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
I'll take care of that.
Let's see, the next item, 2017-710 FP was withdrawn. The next item is the Estates at Watercross, Phase 1A, Lot 96, Ward 1, District 1. The Parish Council District Representatives, the Honorable Marty Dean. Request by owner to waive the 60-foot setback for the driveway from the property corner. Staff?
Honorable Commissioners, the home builder, Big Bear Construction Company, is requesting a waiver of regulations for restrictive covenant number 9 on corner lots, which states that driveways cannot be located nearer than 60 feet from a property corner. See the letter dated August 15, 2017, from Barry S. Bro, and a portion of the recorded plat showing lot number 96. The Department of Development Engineering has reviewed the request and has no objection due to the fact that there's a 20-foot drainage and utility servitude crossing the property. Therefore, should the Planning Commission grant the request, a resolution adopted by not less than a 2/3 majority affirmative vote of the Planning Commission membership will be required.
Thank you. Is someone here in the audience representing the Estates at Watercross? Yes, sir. Please.
I'm not representing the Estates of Watercross. I wish I was. I'm Barry Bro. I'm with Big Bear Construction Company.
Okay. You understand everything that staff had read on this?
I do.
Okay. And you agree to it?
I believe I do, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. I don't believe we have any opposition on that item either. So I'll close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioners? Mr. Davis.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Davis to approve. Mr. Fitzmaurice.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Fitzmaurice. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item is the Estates at Watercross, Phase 1A, Lot 103, Ward 1, District 1, Parish Council Representative, Honorable Marty Dean. Request by owner to waive 60-foot setback for driveway from property corner. Staff?
Honorable Commissioners, the home builder, Miss Melissa Bruno Thornhill, is requesting a waiver of regulations for restrictive covenant number 9 on corner lots, which states that driveways cannot be located nearer than 60 feet from a property corner. See the letter dated August 18, 2017 from Ms. Thornhill, a portion of the recorded plat showing lot number 103 and plot plan. Therefore, should the Planning Commission grant the request, a resolution adopted by not less than a 2/3 majority affirmative vote of the Planning Commission membership will be required.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to speak on this item? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name's Melissa Bruno Thornhill, and I'm with Bruno Design Build. I would like to be able to put the driveway on Cypress Point Circle. it would be 50 feet from the corner. I misunderstood the 60-foot setback, understanding that it was 60 feet from the corner, the street corner itself. And so I had it approved by the subdivision and then received also a letter from Mr. Wayner. And so I would like to ask for your permission to do that tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, we have no opposition. So I'll close it to the public and bring it back to the commissioners. Anyone wish to speak, make a motion on this item?
Mr. Randolph?
Okay, motion by Mr. Randolph to approve. Mr. Drum. Seconded by Mr. Drum. We have a motion and a second to approve. Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We have no new business. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Willie to adjourn. Thank you.
Did good, Chris, did good.
I didn't know the one.
I think you didn't do good.
My voice tends to carry. I used to get in trouble for that.
7:20, that ain't bad.